Sun Tzu emphasized that deception is not just about lying or trickery, but also about creating illusions and manipulating the opponent's perceptions.
All right, guys, I got a different look here. The AC's not working, camera's overheating, so I've got to go for the low-grade look just this time. I'll get it fixed by the next time I record. So I just want to give you that heads up. Do apologize. But I want to say Happy New Year to all you. I mean, with all my heart. This gig, it's a gig, and, you want to do the gig, but it's really about relationships. And I was reading a comment the other day, and somebody was saying, real nice, that, hey, Curtis, if you don't do this anymore, we've been talking for so many years, I feel like we're friends, and it's going to make me not, I don't feel so good about that. And it really made me misty-eyed, and I think it was really the heart of what I wanted to do here and why I really enjoyed doing this thing. I hate being in front of the camera, but I love studying the game of football. I love researching. I love talking to people. So I want to say Happy New Year because you guys really, really matter to me. I'm very grateful for all your support. I can't believe it. The subs and all the stuff, the views, the likes, the comments, that stuff it's from the heart, and that's what really I want to be all about, is community and camaraderie and relationships. So I am so grateful. So I want to say to you, have a very and safe Happy New Year, and I pray that you and your family have a safe and Happy New Year. And then going forward, I hope all of us have awesome times. I just want to say thank you from me and the Curtis family. So Doug Lee Durong did a thing on Tua, and he said 90% he thinks he's not going to play because they're splitting time, and it looks like his hip's not responding the way they had hoped. And so I want to cover the Tua thing, but I want to tie it into a much larger than Tua thing. And that's why I did the Art of War at the beginning. All war is based on deception. Art of War is a treatise written 3,000 years ago, but they say by Sun Tzu. But the things inside, the understanding inside it are, they're foundational. And whether you're in media, whether you're in war or business, anything that you have an adversary, it applies and it's studied. And so all war is based on deception. And you have to understand that deception is not just lying. It's not really, that's not the key. The key is taking the person that you're going against, and even offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, guys lining up in front of them, all practicing this, is to take the perception of the person in front of them and alter it to a position where it's more beneficial for the person who wants to alter it. And so I want you to keep this in your mind as a lot of narratives are rising up. If you've watched me for a while, you know I did Suit Hustle in 2021. Dolphins have one of the biggest media departments. They totally practice the art of war, and they are all about subverting perception and twisting it to what's beneficial to them. And not to say that, it's the Kennedy assassination thing, but football's a business. It's a business to make money. Now, you have some owners that they want to win and make money, but it's always about making money, making sure you put your fannies in the seat and you give them your money. And so you have to watch how they control narratives. And so Tua is without a doubt a central piece to the big puzzle, narrative or none. His health, I think, no matter what side of the fence you're on, whether you love Tua or you hate him, obviously if you hate him, his health is very, very concerning. You spent a lot of money on him. He's a big piece of the puzzle. But guys, you have to remember, it's a piece of the puzzle. Tua is not going to make or break this franchise. What are you talking about? Look at San Francisco. They had Jimmy G, who had loads of injuries. They went to a Super Bowl. Then they made the dumbest move to get Trey Lance, spent way more on it than Tua, gave us the ammo. We didn't even use it properly. And then they got Purdy and went back. But what's the common denominator? They had a very good team. They had a very good coach who gets a little cutesy in the Super Bowls and it cost them twice, and a very good GM who does make mistakes, but he moves off his mistakes. But the framework is much better than us. And so, yeah, Tua should concern you with his health. And I kind of screwed up, and I did the podcast Sunday morning about him not being in there, and I did the Titanic going down. And I said, if he's not in, let's just scrap the whole thing. And people focused on Tua, and that was my failure because I talked my main points at the end. But you have to understand, Tua's inconsistency exasperates the failures of this team building and demands more from a GM who had unprecedented capital and still couldn't get it done. And so I want to go over Tua and the real perceptions because, guys, I said after the San Francisco game, yeah, you got a lot of yards against San Fran, but that's not really portable. And some people said, you can't really evaluate about the future. You can't take this evaluation. And I said, no, you got to. And I said, it's not going to. Bosa was a half a man, and you had Warner, and that's it. And so there was space, and Achane's a stud who made big things happen. But this week, he had 2.7 yards per carry. Does he suck? No, the framework wasn't right, and it crushed his skill set because the Browns have two good DNs, a solid D interior, and two good linebackers. And I said it's going to be hard sledding. And so we went from unbelievable to trash, and Tua wasn't in there. And so you've got to be clear that this offensive line isn't good. But throughout the process, we've heard content providers tell us that, Eichenberg's not as bad as you think, and the offensive line's pretty good. And you heard, I'm sorry, Butch Barry. Butch Barry Trust. I'm sorry, Liam Eichenberg. I'm sorry, Jackson. We heard all this stuff. And it was there to obfuscate Greer, who mocked the fans and said, they're more concerned than us about the O-line, and then doubled down. And so now the focus isn't on the O-line. It's on Tua. And it's off Greer. And so Tua is clearly a problem for his health. This injury on his hip that was an injury in college, and along with the concussions, all this stuff, you can't be positive about it. But this team could still win because they won with Jimmy G if we'd been built right. And that's why I say we've got to tear it down. Tua not being in this week is saying there's something really wrong with his hip. But also think of it this way. He got a concussion, wanted to come right back in, and he was shelved for 4 weeks. And that shifted the narrative to him. He wanted to play this week, but he was told he couldn't. It shifted the narrative to him. So this constant shifting the narrative to Tua, while it is fair, he hasn't proven he can win the biggest games against the best teams. He does have some flaws to his game, and clearly this injury thing is a huge issue, but it's always shifting the narrative off Greer and this team to different areas. It was Fangio, and it was Flores and Tua. It's always something other than Greer, who's looking to have his fourth regime, maybe fifth. And so I want to show you some stuff about this offensive line, and I don't understand if you're rational or you want to win championships that you can't see this, regardless of what you think about Tua. So Burrow, who supposedly has a terrible offensive line, played the Browns the week before, and he had more pieces on the Browns to go against than we did. 23 yards, 116 yards on the ground, 5.3. Burrow had that. Do you think that helped? This week, our O-line generated 27 runs for 74 yards for 2.7, and 52 was by Huntley. And we barely beat a terrible team. DTR is not a starting quarterback. They lost Ward. They lost their running back Ford. And it was like a struggle to win this game. DTR, who's not very good, 28 carries, 114 yards, and 4.1. And he didn't generate a ton of it. So the run game, regardless if Tua was in or not, should have done better if it was as good as people said, if it was as good as San Francisco, but it's not. You look at Huntley and you look at what he had as far as a framework, and it's the same as Tua had. He threw a 1.83 seconds clean time. That was 20% less clean time than what Tua has. 59% pass rush mitigation, screens, and play actions. Play actions keeps guys out of routes and makes it harder to complete the football because you get less options. Screens throws behind the line of scrimmage, and they can be hit or miss, but it's not successful. It's not like I'm going to be living off this stuff. All of it's designed to mitigate the pass rush. DTR had 45% less, and his time to throw was 2.18, so he had almost 0.40 seconds more to throw the football. Had less pass rush mitigation. They were both blitz the same 32% of the time. The average depth of target 6.2 for Huntley and 5.3 for DTR, both short, although DTR's was shorter. But DTR had 22% pressure compared to 32 for Huntley, even though Huntley had 14% more pass rush mitigation and threw 0.4 seconds quicker and is the better quarterback. If that doesn't tell you this, combined with the run game, that this offensive line's no good, I don't know what to tell you. You could not like Tua. You could totally be on board with his injury history, but you cannot tell me this offensive line, this framework, this team's any good. Every team in the league that's successful runs the football inside, semi-successful, and the more successful they are, the better it is. Pass balance is the key to NFL offenses currently because the defenses are hot and heavy on the pass. So you've got to run inside to get them out of those looks and punish them. And if you can't, you struggle. Some people saying Huntley is better than Tua and this and that, and that's crazy talk. But you got to ask yourself, what do they benefit from that kind of talk? What are the people who tell you the offensive line is so good and this player is so good when we know they're not? How do they benefit? And you got to even ask me, what am I saying? How do I benefit? You got to vet me. Because if you don't have the right evaluation, then you're not going to put the team's feet to the fire to win something substantial. They're going to have your fannies in there. They're going to have you showing up, making money. And what do they really care about winning? You've got to do your part. And some people, it makes me sad to see. They're like, I'm done with the Dolphins. Next year, if we don't have success, I'm done. Guys, we do this for the Warriors before us, like Zach Thomas and Cameron Wake, who never saw the postseason, Shula, Marino, Brian Cox. These guys were noble warriors who deserve our support, and I would implore you to do that. But the way you do that is to be savvy consumers to a machine that really only cares about money. There's no way you're telling me that this team actually wants to win. We've had unprecedented capital, and this is we got. Oldest team in the league. Anybody else who's really serious about winning would have fired Grier. He's been here going 10 years next year if you give him another season. And what do you got? 2 postseason appearances? By throwing everything in the kitchen sink to get it? And you're going to struggle this year. Even if you make it, you think you're going to win much? And so I just don't, I apologize for not being specific and having people focus on Tua, and that's not my intention. Clearly, it's a major concern. I think the kid can play. I'm very concerned about his health. But the framework, the GM, the team construction is not good enough. And so you could see, look at, what's his face from the Colts? Luck. Beat out of the league, never really did anything. Great quarterback, terrible framework, bad offensive line. And if he can't do it, Marino can't do it, there's no way you're telling me that Tua should be expected to, because he's not as good as they are, to do it, or any quarterback we bring in here. So please, love your team. If you just want light success, okay, I'm not speaking to you. But if you really care about this team winning a championship, you've got to evaluate fairly. And this offensive line, and more importantly, Grier, are the prime movers. And no matter what ESPN tells you about the quarterback position, it's a position. Ask Tampa. They had Brady and they went to Mayfield. They're having success. Look at Darnold. They put him in over Cousins. They're having success. Look at, they moved off Stafford with the Lions and got Goff. They're having success. There's teams all over the league that are getting by because they have great framework. Look at Huntley with the Ravens a couple of years ago, 2022, whatever. Pro Bowl and went to the conference championship. Is he so good? They had the great framework. That was a great setup for their player, and they were built right. They were built physical. They were built adaptable. They were built deep. They had talent. We are not deep. We're not adaptable. We're one-dimensional, and we lack a lot of talent. And I don't think we have a good core. I think we have a bad core. And you just look, we got rid of Wilkins and it fell to a 4th-round return for a compensatory pick. Look at Hunt. He's one of the best guards in the league. It's unbelievable what he's doing this season. We got a 3rd. And we're broke. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not into getting to arguments with anybody, but I've been very accurate. I talked about a lot of things. I said, this offensive line is no good. I said, San Fran game, we're going to struggle, and we did. I said, the Jets game is probably going to be a big deal before the season started, and it is. And I said, if we fail, Grier's going to sacrifice somebody. I said, probably Tua or maybe McDaniel. And that's what's happening. And it's not people who want to give you very simplistic takes, like Tua is the reason for everything, or Tua is the greatest, or we just need 2 guards to fix the whole thing. I really highly doubt those are accurate. I don't think that is going to get us anywhere. But you have the right to choose whatever information you want. I do what I do here, and I do it from my heart, and I seek for accuracy. And maybe that's not the best business model. I know if I continue doing this thing and my sponsors bring me back, I'm going to have to adjust some things. Not how I cover, not how I'm honest, but I have to do something to generate more interest. And maybe that includes all the fan bases more. You guys are the best. I'm grateful for everything. And this is Curtis saying, be well, go Fins, have a great new year. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.